There are places on the map that are forgotten not because they don't exist, but because no one living dares to mention their names anymore. That year, 3 young soldiers were ordered to an abandoned village, where hundreds of people once lived, now only the ruins of houses and the stench in the wind. No one told them that this place was the hunting ground of creatures that were buried, but never truly dead. Cold wind whistled through the listeners' ears. Aswang, Amalanhig, or whatever they called them, they didn't need to believe rumors, they just needed to smell blood, and they would come. Claws scratching on wood. And in the thick darkness of a moonless night their enemies were no longer human. A soldier screamed under attack, interrupting the narrative. The image slowly opens from a table in the barracks. A thick book appears with the words, "Mga nilalang ng kadiliman, creatures of the dark." A man's hand slowly turns the page. The camera lifts up, Rigor's eyes shine brightly in the night. My name is Rigor. I am a soldier. I am not superstitious. But that night, I saw things that no military document prepared me for. And if you are watching this story, remember, sometimes the devil does not live in hell but hides right under our feet. The camera pans over a row of iron beds, neatly folded backpacks. A man, Rigor, is sitting quietly at an old wooden table. He is reading an old book with a worn cover, titled, "Mga nilalang ng kadiliman, creatures of the dark." When was a child, my father scolded me for believing in ghosts. But then grew up, became a soldier. I learned how to shoot, march, and kill targets. And yet to this day, I still believe there are enemies who are not from this world. The sound of a barbell falling. Cut to Heiner, a tall, fair-skinned soldier, working out nearby. He glances at Rigor's book, half smiling. Heiner, laughing. Still researching ghosts, Rigor? Are you planning to write a book or become an albulario? Rigor calmly. No. Just don't want to die stupid. Barry, the third soldier, brown skin, muscular, walks in, holding a steaming cup of coffee. Barry, mocking. The book says Aswangs like to eat human livers. Are you going to give them breakfast? The 3 of them burst out laughing. The mood seems cheerful, but Rigor's eyes still have thoughtful, quiet look. Fast forward, Rigor closes the book, puts it on the table. The camera follows him outside to exercise. The wind picks up, a dark shadow passes Ila the window. When he turns back, the book is gone. I was sure I left it on the table. But less than 5 minutes later it was gone. I asked everyone, no one saw it, but then it reappeared, right where it was. No trace. No explanation. Only one thing I'm sure of, someone besides me has read it. Emergency meeting room, night. Scene cuts to the barracks meeting room. A commanding officer stands in front of a map, his face tense. Commander, there have been multiple disappearances in a remote mountainous area of ILO ILO. No gunshots, no bodies, just blood and claw marks. The villagers have retreated. The area is now white zone, no one dares to go near it. Barry frowning. You mean wild animals? Commander, looking Rigor straight in the eye. Or something else. You've been chosen. Your team will be the last one to be stationed there. Be prepared because bullets may not be the most useful thing this time. The room falls silent. The lights flicker. A cold wind blows through the open window. That night, when everyone was asleep, Rigor opened the book and highlighted passage. Amalanhig, the dead do not rest, they come to their loved ones when they rise. I am not sure if I am being too suspicious or if my intuition was right. Because from the moment that book disappeared and returned, I began to feel a certain gaze following us. I am a soldier. I am not afraid of guns, not afraid of blood. But this time, I am afraid of what my eyes have not seen. The camera zoomed slowly out of the barracks. On a tree branch in the distance, a blackbird sits motionless, its eyes red as embers, looking towards the yellow lights in the camp. July 12, 15:48 minuto, we landed in what the locals call Ghost Barrio, the ghost village. No map shows this location. No signs. No signal. Just a gray area, a muddy road, and dead silence. Yearly helicopter landing, tatlo soldiers vili, fully armed. The camera pans over dilapidated wooden houses, windows wide open, belongings abandoned as people live in panic. A cross tilts in front of the house at the end of the village. The wind makes the door creak. Barry whispering. "Damn it. Is this where people used to live?" Heiner swallowing. Not a bird. Not a footprint. It was as if this place had been abandoned by God himself. A musty smell filled the nostrils. There was mud underfoot, and in some places there were footprints, but not human. A long, sharp claw mark stuck deep into the ground, as if something had crawled on all fours. I've seen something like that before in books. But books never say how cold it is to stand in it. Barry passes a house, hears a light knock. He paused, his hand on the butt of his gun. A soft knock continued from inside 3 beats, then stopped. The whine died. Rigor motioned for silence. They closed in. Suddenly the door swung open, but there was no one inside. Rigor whispering. Something knew we were there. Meet Hilda, the mysterious girl. The camera pans to the corner of the village, where there is a dry well. A female figure appears, long hair, face covered a veil, holding a rag doll. Hilda, voice even cold. Tonight they will wake up. Barry drawing a gun. Who will wake up? Hilda, pointing to the ground. Those who were never buried with ceremony. Amalanhig. They miss their loved ones. But if they can't find them, they will eat anyone alive. Hilda, no one knows where you come from. But your eyes don't look like a liar. She gave me an old piece of paper, a map of the village with a red dot in the middle of the woods, where there is a black pool. Water and fire, she said, are the only things that can make them fall apart. And then she disappeared. In broad daylight. No footsteps. No goodbyes. As if she had never existed. Internal rupture, suspicion arises. Darkness comes. The group sets up camp in the middle of the village. The fire flickers. Everyone is silent. Sweat beaded despite the cold. Heiner softly. There's something wrong with Polo. Rigor. I know. He's been avoiding the light. I saw him whispering to someone earlier, but there was no one around. The camera zooms in on Polo, sitting alone, his face in shadow, his eyes occasionally glowing red from the campfire. In the army, the most dangerous thing is not the enemy ahead, but the comrade who is no longer beside him. And if a malanhig can rise from the grave, can Aswang's take on human form? A terrible scream rang out from the end of the village. Flashlights were turned on, the light swept across. On the walls of the houses, claw marks were long and bloody. The whole team rushed forward, but no one was left. We came to the village to investigate. But tonight it seems we will have to fight to live here alive. And I. Rigor, there is no doubt now. What Reed is crawling out of the page and standing before me in bone, in blood and fangs. Midnight. No crickets. No wind. Just an eerie silence, as if the whole village was holding its breath waiting for something. I know that moment is when death rises from the ground. Near the first attack. A rumble from a wooden house. The door bursts open. A guard shouts. Guard. There is something ban really dark. A shot rings out. A machine gun. Silence. The camera pans. A body is torn apart in the middle of the yard, its legs still twitching. Blood is spreading in a spiral, as if being dragged. From the darkness, shapes with hunched backs, limbs as thin as tree branches, human but soulless faces, a malanhig, begin to pour out. They don't run, they crawl. Then they leap like hungry beasts. They don't fear bullets. They don't feel pain. And when they touch human flesh they tear, they don't kill quickly. The first scream, then the second, the third, then there's just the sound of flesh being torn and bones being broken. Rigor ordering a retreat. Rigor screams over the sound of bullets, pulling Heiner, eyes searching for Barry. Rigor screaming. Abandon camp. Relief towards Nile Swamp. They can't swim. The three of them rush out of camp. All around them are red eyes glowing in the darkness, creatures crawling out of the ground, crawling out of the grave. One follows Barry closely, its claws digging into the back of his shirt. Rhaegar drew his knife, slashing at its arm. The flesh tore, but the creature did not stop. They have no reason. They have only one purpose: to eat, to tear, and drag souls to hell. I no longer know whether to run from fear or from the survival instinct that compels me to live to tell the tale. Chase-an Niu Swamp. The camera cuts to 3 soldiers wading into the swamp. The water is black and smells of corpses. There are maggots, pieces of hair, rotting hands floating in places. Heiner gasping. Oh Enrai. I'm going to throw up. Barry. Keep going. If you stop swimming you'll become part of this lake. A malanhig continues to crawl. A few of them jump into the water, barely touching the surface, their bodies foaming, dissolving into thousands of maggots, groaning and sinking. Water, as Hilda had said, is their weakness. But this water is not water, it is a liquid grave, where the smell of death has seeped into every grain of mud. We do not swim. We struggle to survive in a nightmare of blood and corpse slime. Click scene, brain damage, then a horrible. Barry is pulled Eli and a malanhig. Rhaegar dives down, stabs the creature in the eye with his combat knife. Black blood spurts, mixing with the maggot-infested water. Heiner panics, nearly drowns after swallowing a handful of human hair. The three of them emerge from the water, drenched, covered in mud and maggots. The flashlight is lost. Only the pale moonlight remained, illuminating the shadows that stretched around the edge of the lake. We thought we had escaped, but it was only the first night. And I realized the enemy was not just a malanhig, but the secrets that each of us was keeping. Because no one spoke, Polo disappeared before the attack began. And more importantly, Arwe in his backpack. I found a black stone stained with human blood. The wind picked up again. In the distance, the red eyes appeared again, this time in more than one direction. The soundtrack screeched. The screen cut to black. A whisper. Rigor. I found you. Surviving the night doesn't mean escaping hell. Sometimes hell isn't underground, it's inside. And that morning, I knew the real battle had yet to begin. Explore Polo's backpack. Rigor quietly opened Polo's backpack, his comrade who had disappeared the night before the attack. In the side pocket, he found an old leather bag, sewn with red thread. Inside, black stone, cold, heavy as metal, with dried blood stains around the edges. When he touched it, Rigor shuddered, his eyes flashed with a bloody scene, a malanhig kneeling before the weir. Polo isn't missing. He chose to leave. And this black stone, it's not an amulet. It's the key to open the gate between the world of the living and the dark. A man with demon blood will use it to summon monsters to his command. But a man of pure heart can use it to break the curse. Revealed, Polo, Aswang descendant. The scene cuts to a cave deep in the forest. Polo stands before an ancient stone pedestal, his hands resting on an Aswang ancestral altar, surrounded ill-drained human corpses, arranged in a spiral. A female voice echoes from the darkness, deep and sinister. Female Aswang, demon voice. The blood has been offered. The stone has been delivered. What are you waiting for, Polo, the fourth generation red blood? Polo, whispering. I am ready. Match, Rigor, yes, female Aswang. Rigor follows the stone signal, going deep into the cave. The air was damp, the mossy wall was covered with ancient drawings. A malanhig was born from the heart of a traitor. Suddenly, the female Aswang rushed out from the darkness, accompanied Eli, demonic black bird, its eyes red as burning coals. The melee combat scene was fierce. The Aswang attacked with sharp claws and extremely fast speed. The demon bird flew around, screeching, making Rigor's ears ring. Rigor was hit, his shoulder was deeply cut. But he jumped up, pulled out his jungle knife, and stabbed her straight into the stomach. The blade was embedded deep into the handle. I don't know Vairi, but her blood wasn't red, it was ash-colored. And when the stone hit the ground it glowed. Idi truth, idi batong itim di. The light from the stone shone on the ceiling of the cave, creating an illusion, two endings. Ip man wearing a stone, standing in the midst of the Amalanhig army, ruling, but destroying everything. A man threw the stone into the water, and light broke the darkness, the souls were liberated. Rigor stood still. In his hand power. But also the choice of life and death. Choice, power, sacrifice. The voice of the female Aswang echoed, even though she was dead. Aswang female, echoing. Kill me, what do you have? That black stone will turn you into me. Just one command and the Amalanhig will kneel at your feet. Rigor clenched the stone. His eyes were burning. Blood flowed from his hand, dripping onto the stone. Red light began to spread. But he let go. The stone fell, and he used his gun to destroy the Aswang ancestral altar. Rigor whispering, "I am a man, not a demon. I could choose to rule but choose to liberate. Because true power lies not in controlling death, but in protecting life. And if I must sacrifice myself to keep the remaining humanity in this world, I will not hesitate." When we had nothing left to lose, we chose to become bait. Because if we let the monsters escape this village, the children of the next village would be the next appetizer. We, those who were trained to kill people, now must learn to kill the inhuman. The camera panned slowly, every muddy step, every flicker of fire. The three spread gasoline around the edge of the swamp, tied up hay and oil-soaked rags to form a path. Each gaze was tense, sweat mixed with blood. A clap of hands, they split into three directions. From the darkness in the distance, the Amalanhig began to grow. Red eyes peeped out. They could smell the scent of humans, blood, and fear. Heiner screaming, "Come here, buy trash! Yes. Barry, you'll remember anything. Mike will A with Ines." The Amalanhig swarmed in, dozens, hundreds, like waves on the shore. Claws hissing, flesh hitting mud. Rigor lit a lighter, trembling. The wind blew it out the first time. He gritted his teeth, lit it again. The light flickered, then flared up. I couldn't hear their screams, only the red light that lit the gray area, like hell had opened on earth. The smell of burning flesh. The sound of explosions. And an invisible emptiness that filled in my mind. We won. But the price was ourselves. Scene, return via inalsible scar. The screen fades to the sound of a ventilator and a bright white light. Rigor wakes up in a field hospital, his head wrapped in bandages, a large scar stretching from his neck to his shoulder. Doctor softly, "You're lucky. The other two survived. But we can't put anything in the records." Rigor looks up, his senior officer stands still at the bed, his face stern. "Officer, what happened in ILO ILO will never be mentioned in the report. The people don't need to know about hell. You and your team will only be remembered as soldiers on regular mission." Narrator calm cold. "I understand. The government chooses silence. The press chooses other news. And we, those who see the real evil, choose to live with it in our sleep. They say, should rest, they say, need time. But how can rest when I know the truth is still raising its head elsewhere?" Another stone nest discovered. The camera pans to a group of miners in a remote province where the rocks are being dug up. A miner shouts, "Worker! Hey! What is this?" From the ground, they pull up a black stone larger, smoother. As the sunlight shines in, a shadowy figure appears inside, a screaming face. Victory is not the end. It is only the beginning. For when darkness is burned in one place, it will seek to grow in another. My name is Rigor. And if anyone is listening to this story, ye ready? Because the battle with the Aswang is not over yet.